Welcome, everyone. This is our last session of the evening in this room. I'd like to let you know that following this session, I'm not sure if it's 12:30 or 1 a.m., there will be a movie in the next room. I don't know the title of the movie, don't know the details, don't know if it's color, black and white, not so sure. But that's after this talk in the next room. I'd like to ask, please, to remove your trash at the end of this session. There are recycle bins at the back. There are garbage bags at the back of the room. Please bring your bottles and everything else away so that your brave angel heralds don't have to do this cleanup. So welcome to Who's Snitching My Milk? This is an important scientific question with an important scientific answer, and Andre Franz will tell us about it.
Thank you. Yeah, good evening. My name is Andre Franz, and I will talk tonight about the dynamics of vanishing milk in an office environment. I'm from the Max Planck Institute in Magdeburg, and in April this year, together with Robert, I started this project. And Miriam is from the Freie University of Berlin. She supported us with some psychological support, not for us, but to answer some questions in this question. So what we have at the Max Planck Institute are these nice small tea kitchens where we have our coffee break. So, and we put our milk in the fridge, and someday we come to the fridge and the milk was empty. So you probably know the problem. So, but we didn't want to put cameras everywhere. We just want to create a mathematical model which can predict when the milk is empty. So, and what is the talk about? So that's a scientific talk. So there are some warnings. It would be nice if you know at least what an ODE, an ordinary differential equation, looks like. So, but in this talk you can expect some nice scientific features, such like boring slide with bullet lists, dozen of equations, of course, no images, but maybe some graphs, and almost no color except this blue, maybe. Okay, but we will start, and so let's have fun. So every scientific talk comes with kind of overview in the first slides. It's always the same structure, but anyway, you have to show this overview. So usually you start with a motivation, which says, yeah, your research is the pretty coolest, the much importance research. Then you start with some modeling, you show some equations, some experiments, and some results in the end, and you have to give a conclusion where you again say that your research is the most best and all other research sucks. And of course some future work. So okay, and every scientific talk starts with a very famous sentence. This sentence is from a book of P. Hoffman about mathematician Paul Erdős, I don't know how to speak this. And the sentence is, a mathematician is a machine for converting coffee into theorems. I want to extend this sentence to more general form, to a scientist or an engineer like I am, and even hackers, which are not machines for converting coffee into theorems, but in new ideas or cool software and cool projects. The problem with coffee drinking is that coffee consumption can increase your calcium excretion. So if you drink coffee, your body excretes calcium. Yeah, that's the bad thing. So to compensate this, you can maybe eat some calcium or just add milk to your coffee. A further thing of coffee is that it has a pH value of approximately 5. Again, if you add some milk, you will increase the pH value and you have a better taste. So what we learned so far is, yeah, milk is very, very important. Thank you. Yeah, because no milk, less coffee, no productivity, economic crisis, maybe apocalypse. So maybe we can also talk about zombie apocalypse, because if I don't drink coffee, I'm in this kind of zombie mode, you know. And economic crisis, I don't know if the Greeks drink coffee, don't know. And very important in a scientific talk is that you have to cite in the right way, otherwise you will maybe lose your doctoral degree, so like a lot of German politicians do at the moment. Okay, to come back to the motivation, a lot of institutions and companies recognize that coffee is important, that milk is important, so they installed this little tea kitchens. Where you have this refrigerator, you can store your milk and you have your coffee break. But the problem is this milk is usually accessible for everybody. And so it comes that, at least from our subjective experience, is that there seems to be a kind of milk drain. So you put the milk in the fridge and 2 days later, your milk is gone. So the question arises, who steals the milk and why and how? So again, we don't want to install some cameras, we just want to build a mathematical model to predict the end of the milk year. Yeah, fundamental research is still missing. We search all the literature. Therefore, we have to do this. Okay, now we come to the boring slides. So we have the change of milk. Yeah, it's you have a kind of a legal consumption rate, which is the rate of your own consumption of milk. And of course, you have this illegal rate when somebody steals your milk. So here we start with a very simple looking equation. You have to do this because you want to afraid the audience. Yeah, but now we have to do some assumptions. So when we assume that the legal consumption is constant over time. So it means I approximately drink the same amount of coffee every day, so the amount of milk would be the same every day. But to make this equation more complicated, this we can put in this illegal consumption rate. So first we assume that this rate depends on a few other variables, for example, the number of milk packages in the fridge. Yeah, if there are more packages in the fridge, the chance is less than, I don't know how to say this, so you know what I mean. Then of course the amount of milk is very important, and there's also kind of psychological effect. I come to this later. And of course the number of people who's using the kitchen is very important. The more people are there, the more people can steal your milk. So you have to consider this. And of course the quality of the milk, we name it Q. So you can have fresh milk, some people prefer fresh milk, UHT milk, bio, maybe expensive looking or cheap looking. So, you don't know. And of course the age of the milk, so how long it is opened. Nobody likes old milk. And some people like to put their name on the milk. Maybe this has an influence. We don't know so far. And even the social system can have a kind of influence. So maybe a communist and a capitalist have a different idea of what is a private property. So maybe there is an influence of this illegal consumption rate. So you end up with a very complicated looking equation. So everybody knows now your research is very complicated and complex. That's good. The problem now is you have a complicated model, so you have to solve it somehow, but we are not that expert that we would like to be. So we have to determine all this variable and maybe do some reduction. So the number of milk package we can just count in the fridge. That's very easy. The milk we will wait, yeah. Q, L, and S, these are some factors which have to be determined from the experimental data. So, but we will neglect it in the first step. So probably we will neglect it forever. TA is known, but neglected is too. Then we have the number of people, which is very important, and which will probably change every day on a short time scale due to holidays, weekends, etc., and on a long time scale due to end of contracts, new hiring, etc. But we don't want to go every day in every office and count the people, so that's stupid. So we need some kind of how we can observe the number of people. And there we had some ideas. So one idea is that we just measure the consumed energy in the tea kitchen, which we assume it's proportional to the number of people. Yeah, we have the energy and the number of people. Another idea is to measure the consumed sugar, or even the NFDO, the number of fridge door openings. Too far. So then you end up with a very complicated looking slide. That's very important to impress your audience. So now we have the milk and the legal consumption rate, which we said is just a constant multiplied with the modified Heaviside step function. So you have to introduce some difficult functions there, which just we need that the milk don't get negative. So we don't have negative milk. And then we have the illegal rate. It's just a constant divided by the number of milks in the fridge, multiplied the number of people in the office environment. We also have this Heaviside step function, but here we have this psychological element, to which I come in the next slide. So the question was, how does this term looks like? And our first hypothesis was that if the milk package is almost full, the people tend to snitch no or very little milk, because snitching will be recognized very easily. And if the package is almost empty, then people also will not snitch any milk, because probably old milk, so nobody likes old milk. So, but in the middle, between full and empty, so half full or for the pessimist, half empty, milk snitching will be highest. Then of course we have to prove some other hypothesis, and a very simple one is just that milk snitching is always constant, and maybe there exists more. So, okay, now we finished with the, oh no, we're not finished, okay. So, let's have some graphs now. Okay, we start with the hypothesis 2, the constant milk snitching. So you have this F psych is constant over X milk. Yeah, 1. 1 is a constant. So, and when you assume there's this constant, then you find that the milk consumption will be linear, because the integral over a constant, yeah, is linear. That's clear. So, for the hypothesis 1, we assumed at the moment a quadratic term. So we have almost no or little snitching when the milk is full. So 1,000 milliliters or 1,000 gram and 0 gram, and is highest in the middle. Then you get this nice sigmoidal or S, kind of S-shaped function. We could also use a Gaussian distribution or something else, but at the moment we use this quadratic function. So now we come to the experimental setup. So of course we need a device for determining the amount of vanished milk and DDA VM. We found a device which is also called ordinary kitchen scales. We found out that when you put the milk on this device, there is a number in the display, and this number somehow correlates with the amount of milk in the package. We also found out that you even can use this device for measuring the sugar consumption. So it's very cool, so you need only one device for two measurements. So then we need a DMCEE, a device for measuring the consumed electrical energy. There we found a digital electricity meter. So if you remember, the consumed energy should be proportional to the people which are using the kitchen. At least we assume this. Then we want to use a DCFDO, a device for counting the fridge door openings. But unfortunately, we don't have this device so far. And I'm not very familiar with soldering and stuff like that. So maybe one of you can help us and solder such a device. So we thought about a kind of digital counter with two 7-segment displays, which is triggered by a photodiode. And the idea is to hide it in a regular yogurt cup that nobody recognizes this device. Okay, now we come to our first results. So we found out that the energy consumption, at least in our environment, and the sugar uptake is almost linear over time. Yeah, all these dots are the data points, and it's a nice linear function. So we can assume that the number of people is approximately constant, at least in our office environment. So now I show you some data sets we measured so far. First, we started with consumption rate where we have legal and illegal consumption. So we took milk, and some other guys probably took our milk. And you see two data sets, the red and the green dots. These data sets are both the same, but here we have the linear model, if you remember, and here we have the quadratic model. So from these pictures, yeah, you cannot tell which one is the best. Maybe that looks a little bit better, but you cannot tell so far. What you see is here are these outliers. These are during the Easter holidays. So then we started to don't take milk by ourselves, just measure the illegal consumption. That's in the next slide. And you see the quadratic function looks much better than when you take the linear model. In this data points, there we had approximately 2 or 3 milk packages in the fridge. So, but the last experiments in last month, there were 6 or 7 packages in the fridge. So nobody took our milk in the beginning. So, and you see, the linear model cannot predict these experiments, but the quadratic model can do very well. So I guess I think that's a nice result. Yeah, I am finished now with this experiments, so I come to the conclusion. So if you have, so you have learned that milk is very important for the health of mankind, especially for coffee drinkers. A coffee day without milk would be very disastrous. Therefore, we want to construct a mathematical model which can predict when we have to buy new milk without all the surveillance stuff, cameras, and so on, because these are bad things. And furthermore, we want to understand the mechanism behind the psychology of the illegal consumption in general. So is it quadratic or not? Is it Gaussian? Is it linear? We don't know so far. And maybe if you have the model, you can use it, the inverse one, if you measure the milk, so maybe you can derive the social composition of large environments. That will maybe help you if you plan such a social event or group trips. Maybe if you have the option to go to maybe a vodka distillery and maybe 90% of your employees are communists, then would it be a good choice. If 90% are maybe capitalism, then maybe you better go to Deutsche Bank or something else. Yeah, there needs a lot of work to do. We need, of course, much more data. We have now 5 data sets, but we need much more. So, yeah, and we want to implement even more alternatives for this psychological. Maybe some Gaussian function we don't know so far. And in future, we will use some model discrimination techniques to verify or falsify, exclude model candidates. And we even want to evaluate the influence of the remaining parameters, or the quality of milk, if it's labeled, what social system is behind the people. So therefore, we need a lot of data sets. So therefore, we need your help. So please go back to your office environments, measure the milk, give us the data, and we need this DCFDO. So I'm not familiar with soldering, but maybe you can help us. And of course, if you disagree with our model or with our assumption, then you're welcome to discuss with us the model, or if you have better ideas, just come to us or anything else. So if there's anything else, you can contact me. This is my email address, or you find me somewhere at the campsite, probably in the Leibenville village. Yeah, thanks for your attention. Any questions?
Wow, I'm always blown away listening to scientists. But I think the audience might have some questions, suggestions, comments, whatever, and they're welcome to do so. Please stand up, come to the microphone here, as this young man did. Very good. And here you go.
Well, I think you did quite a nice job, but didn't you forget that the amount of milk snitched will be dependent on the availability of milk or coffee, of tea or coffee? Because I think if the snitchers can snitch some coffee, they'll be more likely to snitch milk.
You said that the snitcher will snitch more coffee than milk, and we should measure the snitched coffee. Or what? I don't.
No, but if there's coffee or tea in the kitchen, the possibility that there will be milk snitched is higher because, no? Because if there is coffee, they will make coffee and they want milk for in their coffee. Because if there is no coffee in the kitchen, they have no reason to snitch milk.
So if you ban all the coffee from the tea kitchen, then nobody can snitch the milk.
Nobody will be interested in snitching milk. And snitching the milk, except when there is tea, of course. I mean, do you see the problem?
I don't get it, sorry.
Well, I'll come and talk to you afterwards. Maybe, is there a wiki?
Pardon?
Is there a wiki?
A key?
A wiki?
A wiki? No.
No.
No, why?
How can we contribute?
I have a question from the internet.
Oh, from the internet.
So,
Nice.
yeah, crazy. Sven asks, once the theory is applied to all burrows, won't it change the consumption and again the theory?
The theory of what?
So if your theory is applied to all burrows, won't it change the consumption and again the theory? So Don't you?
Okay, so if you, to all offices,
Yeah.
no, I don't think so, because in the mean, I guess you have the same theory, because in the model we also account for such this all this difference between the office environments, so social system and so on. So we hope to get data from a lot of different office environments to calibrate our data, to calibrate our parameter sets.
So, yeah, the user is saying, do you remember the milk drinking times before the talk on the camp in 2011? So maybe it's your theory is changing the behavior of the people.
Yeah, I guess the behavior will change after the talk, of course, because everybody knows now, and we even recognized it in the last weeks in our own environment, that the people recognized something is going on, and maybe they changed their behavior. So we don't know. Therefore, we need data sets from very lot of different environments. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Hello. Oh, I was very impressed by the charts and graphs. What was the acronym for the device for measuring the number of door openings again? Do you have that?
I measured what?
What was the acronym you used for the device that would measure the number of refrigerator door openings? You had an acronym for that?
The door open. Or what?
Yeah, can you go back? Can you go back to that acronym? Yes. Yes, the
one.
DCFDO.
DCFDO device for counting fridge door openings.
I
Yeah.
have a suggestion for the DCFDO device. While it would be nice to hack a device like that, there's probably already a commercially available product known as a, I think there's often called game cameras. Hunters use them, they strap them to trees, and they look for animals walking down the trail and so forth, and it records a very short video of the creatures walking by, and it time and date stamps these videos. So you could have it, you could conceal it in the refrigerator in an unappetizing type of camouflage container, sort of like a 1 liter container of clam juice or something like that, that nobody would want to possibly touch, because who wants to drink clam juice? And not only would you record the number of fridge door openings, but the actual perpetrators, and you could record their demographics, because ostensibly you would know the demographics of them once you know their identity, and you could add that to your data set. So that would be one possible device for not only a DCFDO, but perhaps another acronym for not only counting fridge door openings, but for identifying the perpetrators could be composed.
Yeah, totally agree, but can you repeat it in 3 words?
What the fuck?
Yeah, right. I totally agree with you.
Yeah, before he starts covering everything in watercress, I think we should start a new project as hackers to actually steal all the milk from fridges, take them all out. As hackers, we have a responsibility to push new technologies. Everyone get on Club Mate, and once everyone's drinking that, we can finally send hackers to the moon.
Yeah.
Did you calculate the errors of your experimental data?
No, not so far.
Why?
Because there are no errors. No, I guess we need more data sets to have a very good error approximation. So,
But if you don't start to calculate the errors in the beginning, your data is worthless.
no comment. Next question.
So it's more of a comment, really, but in my workplace, we have a large quantity of very small milk containers, which people tend to steal unopened and take home for their breakfast cereal. So
Really?
I don't think our model really covers that, and I think that there might be an extension opportunity as part of this model that we could factor that in as well.
A little bit slower, please.
I was saying, in our workplace, we have a very large number of small milk containers.
Okay.
So there are quite a lot of small ones.
Yeah.
People take those
And take it away.
unopened, take them home for their breakfast cereal in the morning,
Ah, okay, that's bad, yeah.
and eat them at home, and drink it at home. I'm not sure that this model totally captures that idea, and also the fact that they're unopened. It might be a way to extend this model.
Yeah, maybe you can do this, I guess, but if you take,
There's no coffee
if you will
involved in
talk
this whole
about
process.
whole package that people take away, then maybe it's a kind of a discrete model. Yeah. So now we have a continuous milk consumption.
So another question from the internet. Does the author take in account that his function, the snitcher could add water for the level of the milk to be constant?
No.
Okay.
Who has sponsored your work? I suspect that you are paid by the milk industry and want to trick people into drinking more milk.
Please, can you repeat?
Who has sponsored your work? I suspect that you are paid by the milk industry.
No, that's a totally hobby project. I mentioned that I come from the Max Planck Institute, but they pay me for some other stuff. But for my other stuff, in the talks, I have usually 15 people, so maybe I should change my topic, I guess.
I think you put a lot of thought into your research, and I just wanted to say I feel kind of guilty because I took your milk, but I'm really sorry.
Ah, it was you.
Can you go back to the slide where you first showed a graph, please?
Just say stop.
Go on.
Oh, wrong direction.
Keep on going.
Yeah,
Go further.
this one.
Yeah, this will be... No. Go on.
This one.
Yeah, this would be pretty fine. If I look at the graph at the right, at the time axis, so I see it's labeled in hours, and
Yeah.
after 300 hours, there's still milk left, and people keep on using that.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen milk at the age of 300 hours, and why the... And who are the guys that are drinking that?
Yes, if you look here, it even took 600 hours. So we used it, what we call in German, Haarmilch. Yeah, it's a UHT milk I don't know, where is it? Here it is, so that's UHT milk, so it's pasteurized milk. You can use it for years.
So last question, I think. What are you drinking?
What I'm drinking?
Yeah, in your coffee cup?
Yes, most of the time milk, of course, but now I have coffee with Baileys, so it's just instead of milk and sugar you can add Baileys.
I see.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your definitely enlightening
One question more.
talk. Oh, there's one more question.
The milk industry can neither deny or confirm the fact that we sponsored your research. The milk industry can neither deny or confirm the fact that we sponsored your research.
So you asked if the milk industry sponsored my research?
No, as just said, we can neither deny or confirm this.
Okay. So, but maybe some last words. So, if you know, coffee increased the productivity. So, why we put all these bailouts in the crisis? Just coffee and milk for everybody for free.
Yay. And on this bombshell, we do not end the evening, we just end the evening at this room. Thank you very much, and please give him one more applause for his enormous work which he put into our daily troubles. I just got handed a piece of paper.